Hi there, I'm Isaac, and I'm illegally a mechanic.
And I'm Claire, and I haven't played video games this week.
And this is
Make That Game, where we pitch the latest,
the greatest
new video game ideas
that are not in the process of currently being made.
They're not. They're not.
Nor are they likely to be in the process of being made in the future.
That's not the goal here.
No, we just give them to you. Then
As a little present.
do something with it. Yeah, as a present. Yeah.
It's for your brain. It's for your mind
We
to
enrich
wander.
you. Yeah.
We are enrichment.
We're entertainment. This is an entertainment podcast.
Enriched attainment.
In edutainment.
Is
We're a
it-
learn 'em up.
We're a Learn 'em Up podcast. Hello.
Yeah. Speaking of learn 'em up, I'd like to learn 'em up
Yeah?
about your game idea this week.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I do have a game idea that I came up with this week to pitch to you. And it feels like deja vu, so I apologize if I've already made this game.
Is that the name of the game?
It feels like deja vu.
I apologize if I've already made this game. Yeah. The whole thing.
So that's going to be my game next week, so stay tuned because I love that idea.
That's the
but
challenge.
No, that's the challenge. No, so the game is called Con. And
Okay.
it is a convention tycoon.
Okay. Yes.
So basically just imagine your roller coaster tycoon, your zoo tycoon, and my personal tycoon favorite, mall tycoon, which is a lesser known, but I think still deeply beloved tycoon. Okay, so the idea here is that you get to pick what your convention is about. So it could be like a Comic-Con, it can be like VidCon, it can be, I don't know, those are like the two cons I know.
Only two? Only two?
Yeah, I mean, I know you go to conventions. Warhammer Con.
None of them really have con in the name.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you can't make one.
I mean, they are
Armor
conventions. Oh, you're okay. Captain Con,
Captain
Armor
Con.
Con. Yep. You found the two of them. Yeah. Granite State Comic Con.
That's Comic-Con, which I already said, I think.
Yeah, but
specifically,
this is Granite State
Mhm,
Comic Con.
mhm.
But I guess you're looking for genres of Comic Cons of cons.
Yeah. But
Okay.
my idea is that it could be anything. It could be any kind of con. I guess maybe not any because there's only so many things we can program in a game, but many options. How about there can be many options?
Okay. Yes.
And I imagined it very much like Mall Tycoon, honestly, where like in Mall Tycoon, you have to pick what stores go in the mall and like the arrangement of the mall. So it's kind of like, but in this game, you wouldn't you would. I'm building it as I go here. I'm building the bike as I ride it. So you have to build the convention center.
Oh, you get to build the convention center too? There's not like a level system where like different convention centers have different layouts that you have to work
the
with?
first thing I was going to say, but then I think this would be funnier because people will think, oh, this is a great layout, and then it will be terrible.
Oh.
And then they have to like refine their because that's also how Mall Tycoon works. Like you don't get a mall, I don't think.
Oh.
Or if you do,
maybe there's two modes. Maybe there's the preset like challenge mode.
Yeah, and you get to pick like actually I think in Mall you get to pick like from a couple different like layouts for your mall, but then you pick like where the stores go, where the food court goes, if you have a fountain, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of like, you know, like, okay, here's your convention space, but where are you going to have your breakout rooms? Where are you going to do your live podcast? You know, like, think about it.
Seminars. Those are the most important ones.
Having your the like merch tables and vendor booths, where are those going to go, and who will you bring there? And then like just like any other tycoon game, you're just going to be monitoring the happiness and contentedness of the convention goers. Now, the difference here is in like a zoo tycoon or whatever, the goal is to have it last a long time. Mm-hmm. Like it's basically how long can you keep this running before everyone's unhappy, right? That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, or you lose all your money, yeah.
Or you lose all your money, right? So it's like that, except because conventions are usually only a week to a weekend.
Yeah.
The goal is to do this for as many years as possible. And I did years in quotes because like, obviously it wouldn't be real life years, but you would just keep running it. Then like if you make it through one weekend, then you keep going the next quote unquote year.
So yeah, you'd have like phases, right? You'd have like prep phase where you're planning and setting up and getting ready. And then you have the con phase, which is where the people come in and you get to see whether they liked it or not. So you don't get like direct immediate feedback like in most tycoon games.
Yeah, and then that's good. Yeah, like it's like feedback surveys from guests. So that's fun. And then you still get to watch it play out though. I think that's fun
Well,
too.
yeah, you have to be able to watch
And then
it play out.
what you were saying with prep phase, I think some of it might be like money you budget towards advertising, which impacts how many people actually show up on the con days. Oh, and you can like track tickets as they come in because people buy these tickets in advance.
Mm-hmm. And it might give you the little budget boost you need to add new things.
Or you might have to send some vendors home because you can't afford to have them come. Something like that.
Yeah, it depends on whether you're paying the vendors or if the vendors have to pay to.
Right. Or yeah, so it probably wouldn't be vendors. It might be like speakers, like if you have a speaker fee. And
sorry, Leonard Nimoy, we can't afford you this year.
Not this
for
year.
For our sci-fi con.
Leonard Nimoy.
That's the only guy I could think of. What other sci-fi guys are there? Or girls?
Mark Hamill.
Or theys. Mark Hamill, that's a good one. You know, sci-fi fantasy are basically the same thing, so we could get Emma Darcy in there.
Yep. We could get have Negroni Spagliatos.
Yeah, serve those.
We're gonna have actually one option for this game will be Negroni Spagliato Con.
A whole convention for it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You'll have different drink makers. You have different ways to make it. Emma Darcy obviously has to be invited.
Right,
They're integral to the idea.
Yes. It doesn't work without them.
This is us being old because that was a joke from October 2022.
Yeah, that's not even. I mean, that was when House of Dragons.
That was when that show was happening.
Remember that show? Cultural imprint.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's Con. It's pretty straightforward. I think you can imagine it because tycoon games exist, but I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
And that's my game. Isaac, what about you? Do you have a game?
Yes.
Okay.
So last week, I pitched a game that was an attempt at capturing wargaming in a certain way.
Right.
As a video game. Wargaming, tabletop wargaming as a video game. What I'm going to pitch today is another attempt at doing that in a different way. More pure to what wargaming, tabletop wargaming actually is. In that regard, I'm literally pitching a tabletop wargame as a video game, reproduced with every minute detail.
Wow.
But not in like a tabletop simulator like virtual board way. No, it presents itself as a turn-based strategy game. And I'm thinking specifically like Warhammer style, not one of those fancy modern war games where you have alternating activations and all that. No, you have phases and you pick and rank and flank. So in a lot of ways, I envision this being a lot like the Total War experience where you have a campaign map, which has cities, and you can move your armies around and conquer cities, build cities, recruit soldiers, etc., etc. And then you have the actual battles that take place to, conquer cities or just happen in the wilderness as enemy forces encounter yours. Once you're in the combat, you have the deployment. So, you go to a battle map. And there are deployment zones and maybe special mission objectives depending on what exactly is happening. Maybe an enemy wizard was attempting some kind of big spell on the edges of your territory and you're going to interrupt them before it, incinerates a small town. So the mission objective is kill specifically the wizard or stop their ritual or something by disrupting the ley line points, etc. Then once you deploy, then you carry out your movement phase where you pick a unit, you move it, you rotate it, you do all the complicated movement shenanigans of this style of tabletop war game. You have your magic phase, shooting, all the phase-based gameplay that we all know and love. And if you're not familiar with tabletop war games, well, I've got a lot to explain to you. And I'm not sure if we have enough time in this podcast. But also, is it a cop-out for me to just be read the rule book, and that's my game idea?
I mean, I don't know. Listeners, you tell us. Send us an email, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com. Is it a cop-out to just make a tabletop game into a video game?
So, well, Yes. And one of the problems and why I didn't pitch this one, because like I said last week, I had like two ideas tipping around in my head, and I ultimately chose the other one because the other one is more of a let's make a video game based on war games, and this is let's make a war game but digital, and it doesn't really do anything in the video game space.
So I think one thing it could do, if you would allow for this or if you're imagining this, is having the ability of multiplayer.
Oh, definitely.
But like across internet.
Yes.
Yes. That's the word for it probably. Because, like I watch you stream on TTS, tabletop simulator for those in the know. And it's, it takes a lot of setup.
Yes. And it's not, it doesn't do the rules for you.
Right.
Like what this would do is it would automate things for you to the point where like moving a unit would probably be the hardest thing because there's a lot of different measurements and stuff involved. And because I'm imagining like ranked formations of soldiers, that's always the most complicated kind of wargaming movement because you have to do wheels around pivot points and stuff with your regiments. You can't just move them each model however you want as long as they stay within a certain distance of each other. They all stay base to base and like march around like actual soldiers would march around. But then like the shooting would be as simple as I pick my unit, I pick its target. It plays like an animation of the arrows being shot, and then it does all their dice rolling calculations in the background. And oh, okay, I killed 12 guys. Cool. Instead of like tabletop simulator, where then you actually have to physically roll the dice, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's where the value lies, is like that people who love wargaming can play with each other without finagling anything.
Yeah. And I guess one interesting thing that you can do with video games that you can't do on the tabletop is instead of being tied to like dice, like D6s or D10s or D20s or even D100s, like you can have something improve your odds of hitting a target by 0.015% if you want.
You
like,
can roll a true D3, which is one of my pet peeves.
You can, yes. Like you can have the
computer
math
can do that.
You can have the math do it in the background, so like you can have really minuscule modifiers or really huge modifiers that dice just wouldn't be able to do, because like each face on a dice has like what, a 16% chance of being rolled, something like that. So if you give a unit a +1 to hit, that means you're 16% more likely to hit with every attack that you do, which is like pretty big, not very granular. But like if you make it so like if the grass is 12 centimeters tall, you get a minus 0.015 inches per second movement rate or whatever. We're tying this in with lawn trimming simulator from
great.
a couple weeks ago, by the way. That's why that's what that callback was. It was only for me, but I'm sharing it with the rest of you now.
Good.
But yeah, I guess that's the value in doing this in the computer video game space. There have been attempts at, there have been reproductions of war games in video games as video games before. Most of them are one-to-one reproductions of like existing war games, especially historical. There's so many of like Civil War games that you can play on the computer. And then there's a recent one that was like, oh, you can paint your minis in the game, but it was like a skirmish game. So you only had like a couple guys. You didn't have the full experience of like managing units. And that's what this game idea is hoping to bring to the table.
Cool. Would you also paint your minis in this game idea?
I think so.
Isaac just made a big thinking face.
I think so. Like, that's a key part of wargaming, but I also don't know if clicking color palettes on a screen is exactly as fun.
I will say that when I play games where you can pick, so like I played FIFA World Cup game, and picking the outfit colors was really fun. So maybe it's not like individual models, but you do get to pick like the color scheme of your army.
Yeah, that's probably 100% a given. I just don't know how in depth it would be. Like, can you do freehand patterns on their banners, or do you just pick? I'm the eagle banners. That's this army. I'm purple eagles. So I have purple robes or purple, cloth and golden eagle faces on all my banners. Boom.
Oh, FIFA was on PlayStation. I just realized.
You've played so much PlayStation. You told us that you didn't think PlayStations were real.
I mean, I didn't until I was probably in high school. No, but I played FIFA when I was an adult. But yeah, this was
okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember the times when I actually did interact with a PlayStation.
Okay.
Or was that Xbox? I think it was a PlayStation. I'm always mad that Xbox is not a cube. I'm sorry, this is totally off topic. Do you have any other parts of your game you want to share?
No. I'm done rambling on that. But I do want to just say we should do bonus content where we just put you in front of a microphone in an otherwise dark room, and you just think about all the times that you may have played a PlayStation game. Like you actually reminisce live. Don't put any more thought into this until we get you in front of a mic.
Okay, well, that would actually be fantastic bonus content for our non-existent Patreon. So when we get that up, that'll be one of them. We should just that'll be a version of it. Just Claire reminisces on, or like just rambles about some random thing.
I mean, that if we narrow it, if we put it down to that vague of a concept, we've got Sims and now PlayStation games.
Yeah. Well, Sims was already going to be
Claire
bonus
might have
content
played.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, then if that's all done, we're in the question phase of the podcast. Do you have a game question?
I don't.
Okay.
Usually you come up with them, so I don't even
have a
think
question
about. Oh, okay. Oh man.
I just thought it'd be fun to ask you because I was almost 100% sure you didn't have one.
Wow, that's mean. That's dirty.
No, it's not mean. Anyway, I do. So yes, I do have a question, and it's actually based on our TikTok. So if you want to follow us on TikTok, we're Make That Game Pod on TikTok. And I posted a silly little TikTok, and this is going to be slight spoilers for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. We're just going to talk about the bosses, like the mini bosses in those games. So if you don't want to know about that.
The major bosses.
Oh, they're not the main boss.
No.
Do I have a wrong definition?
So mini bosses. All right. So in Link's Awakening.
This wasn't my question, but go ahead.
Okay, we're going to talk about this for a second. In Link's Awakening, Dungeon 1. You remember Dungeon 1?
No. It's been a long time.
Dungeon 7, the bird tower.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Halfway through the dungeon, there's a guy who summons a bunch of bats using a flute. He plays a little flute. A bunch of bats fly at you.
Does not ring a bell.
Oh my
but
god!
I'll believe you.
Okay, let's go back to Dungeon 1 now. There's a guy. He's a blob. He hop around. There's a big spike pillar that he rolls across the room.
Yeah.
That is a mini boss. Defeating him gives you a portal that takes you back to the beginning.
I remember that part.
That's a mini boss. The major boss is the centipede guy in the final room right before you get the instrument.
So are there even mini bosses in Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Not in the dungeons, I wouldn't say. Which is a big loss in my opinion.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, neither of them had them, and they're vital for the Legend of Zelda experience, in my opinion.
I feel like we're talking about a totally different question now, but it's interesting.
Yes.
But do you want me to actually talk about
Yeah. Let's go into your question. We're learning multiple things
So,
today.
I mean, it's connected. It's basically about boss design. So
Yes.
I posted a silly little TikTok that was basically making fun of how goofy dopey the Water Temple boss looked. And this became a very hot topic on the TikTok.
A big debate happening.
People were commenting, one about the difficulty of Breath of the Wild. I was comparing the Breath of the Wild boss for the water blight.
Yeah.
Who was pretty scary and tough, I thought.
For a lot of people, he was also like the first guy. So
Yeah.
that might warp perception of how scary and tough he is. I actually don't remember like what he did.
I don't either, but he was my first guy. But my first one was also the silly little Muck Rock, right? Muckdarok, yeah. So, because I went right back there, I think a lot of people did. This is totally a tangent. I want to see the data that Nintendo has or gets on what people did first, because I think my guess is they all were like, I've got to go see the fish husband. I'm doing that first. Anyway, so a lot of the character design discussion I thought was interesting, where some people were really for this goofy character, saying that like it was a really fun break in like the kind of the pattern, and it like had some levity to it, whereas some people seemed really frustrated that it didn't seem to match the rest of the vibe of the other 3 temples. And so I'm curious, like, when you're designing bosses like this that are kind of all connected, like, is there a better way to do it, and what game design considerations should we take when, picking a boss?
I think having a silly little guy is good game design.
Okay.
In every situation. No, well, yeah, probably every situation. I don't see any downside to including a silly little guy in any game.
Okay.
I can understand why people would want brutal seriousness at all time, but also I don't understand why people want that from Legend of Zelda, of all things, because Legend of Zelda has always been a little silly goofy.
So would you say we would want to increase the silliness of the other bosses? And by silliness, I'm not talking about difficulty, like, because you can be silly and difficult.
I mean, this guy's like platting around, running around. He's got a big scary disguise, but he's actually a little wimp, and he like, woo, and runs away when he gets revealed for his true self. Like, he's 100% silly little guy energy.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
Right.
And then like the other one is like giant flying ice centipede that does evil, and big rock lava monster that does evil. And help me out here.
Wait, what was the first one you said?
The Colgera or whatever. That's the Wind Temple boss, the centipede.
Just so you know, audience, I made quite the I'm confused face at Isaac.
Shows it in big text on screen.
I don't read. I don't read it.
Okay, but who's?
That's the one I haven't fought yet.
Who's the other? No,
in Gerudo.
Oh, yes, the moth.
So I would say, from like a pattern perspective and a storytelling perspective, I do kind of understand the disconnect of like, I mean, especially if you played him first. If you played the Muktarok first, and the rest
might set you up to expect silly little guys.
Or if you didn't, then it will expect you. Then you're like, I don't know. I feel like if you don't play him first, it's actually funny because you're set up to expect scary big monsters, and then you get a silly little guy, and that's funny. Yes. This is an open world, so you can play it in whatever order you want, and so you never know when you're going to end up with your silly little guy. I mean, I might be disappointed if my silly little guy was the last one I did, because then it's like, oh wow. So, what a note to end on.
I think that this is a question that Elden Ring struggled with a lot because the Dark Souls games are on the surface very serious, and I think a lot of people take them very seriously. But when I play them, I think they're very funny because it's mostly actually silly little guys when you get down to the nitty gritty.
I'm specifically thinking of the guy who's really, really big on his tiny, tiny horse.
Yeah. He's got a tiny, tiny horse that like goes underground when he jumps into the air to become an asteroid. And then when he lands again, the horse comes back out of the ground and he keeps riding around it. The horse, he's literally walking on his own legs while riding, big quote marks, the horse. And like some of the jokes in Elden Ring are like, or like the entire series, like all of the Dark Souls likes, is what if silly little guy, but big? Like there is always at least one point in the game where they will, you'll have silly little guys and you'll beat the crap out of them and they'll be nothing. And then at some point, a silly little guy will be big for no reason.
Okay.
And he'll kick your butt. And you'll be like, why was that a silly little guy? I love silly little guys, and I don't think that there is any problem with including them.
So I would think,
unless if the Muktarok was the only silly little thing in the entire game, I would be like, okay, that is a weird tonal mismatch. What's going on with that?
Like you said, this is Legends of Zelda, so there's many silly little guys in this game.
The sign guy, he's also a silly little guy.
He's pretty silly. Every Korok,
silly little guy. Like this game is mostly silly little guys. In fact, I would say if anything's an outlier, it's the non-silly little guy bosses.
I think it'd be fun to have, I guess what I'm saying is I want a silly little guy for every boss. I think it'd be fun if each of them were a disguise for just a silly little guy.
Ooh, I like that idea. That's many Kirby bosses, I feel like. Maybe not. Not in Forgotten Land. What am I thinking of? I feel like there's one Kirby game where like every time you beat a boss, like a silly little guy like comes out of it and like runs away from you, but I can't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Okay, Kirby fans, let us know.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Which one of the million Kirby games am I thinking of? But yeah, circling back to my final answer, silly little guy, good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that was good. And we even ended up discussing a little bit about, I guess, like pacing and like tone expectations in a game. But yeah, if you want to see more amazing TikToks, please do follow us on TikTok. It's a good time over there when I remember to post anything. Cool. Well, that's all I have for questions. Do you have anything to honk and bonk? The blank stare tells me no.
No.
Okay, great. I just thought I'd throw
I
it
got
out
the
there.
timer out.
Oh,
I'm
you're
ready.
ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
ready.
If Isaac has the timer
I'm rapidly
out.
firing around to get to our rapid fire round.
Wow, that's exactly what it is. So we're about to do our rapid fire round, which is where we generate 3 random words. We have 5 minutes to come up with a game idea based on those 3 words. That includes a title. And we do have to do this in 5 minutes. And if we don't, we lose. And what happens, Isaac, if we lose?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Maybe. Nope. You know what? I've tried positing ideas on air before, and they never pan out. And I think I always repeat the same one.
Right.
We have to do the next one.
Well, I'm ready with our 3 words.
Okay. I'm ready with 3, 2, 1, go.
Fly, fascinate, friendly.
Okay. The 3 F's.
The 3 F's, as we all know.
Yep. All right.
Fly, fascinate, and friendly. I think you have to play as a fly, right? You're a fly, and you have to make designs in the sky to fascinate and be friendly with the creatures below.
So Charlotte's Web, but as a fly?
That, I was also thinking of like Finding Nemo when the fish like make the arrow to tell Marlin where to go.
Oh.
Like it'd be more than one fly. And they're making designs in the sky.
Okay. All right.
Isaac's really puzzling out how this becomes a game. You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the mechanics of. So I do like the idea of playing as a fly, and I do like the idea that you are like trying to be a PR spokesperson for flies worldwide to like improve relations.
Okay, wait. I have a name for this game before we finish it. Worldwide Fly.
Worldwide Fly. Okay. Yes.
Well, no, that's a flea circus. I was like, a fly circus.
I mean, okay, but if this is a tycoon game where you are a fly who runs a flea circus, so like you have the little small guys, and you're actually training them, and you give shows to people.
Worldwide Fly.
And it's called Worldwide Fly.
And I think that's the game.
And well, yeah.
Circus Fly, flea circus tycoon game.
Yes. Are we allowed to just say, the genre that it is? I feel like, do we do that or do we?
We've done it in the past. I think we're allowed to when it's such a clear genre. Like a tycoon game is like such a clear genre. Right,
because the gameplay is always like going to be basically, okay. Like it gives a clear idea to the audience.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Fine. I'll accept it this time with 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock.
Woo-hoo, Worldwide Fly. I would play that game. I think I'd play any tycoon game. Honestly, I'm just itching to play Mall Tycoon once more.
Let's see if it's on Steam or GOG.
Ooh.
Let's get you some Mall Tycoon game and let's generate 3 more words.
Why did I put my phone all the way away? Is a question we'll never know the answer to. All right, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Thanks. Garage. Mutual.
Okay, you run a mutual fund out of your garage.
What's a mutual fund? I should know this.
I don't know. It's something.
You don't know either.
It's something money thing. It's what finance bros do. I don't know.
So you're a finance bro running a mutual fund out of your garage.
Yep. And people thank you, but also since you are running a mutual fund out of your garage,
thank you. That's where you get. Okay.
People really want to take all the money that your mutual fund manages. And so you have to defend your garage.
I feel like the thanks should come in some. People thank you isn't. I don't think we don't even know what a mutual fund is. So I'm all for having a finance bro defending his mutual fund garage. I'm into that. We just have to work thanks into it somehow. Are you looking up different definitions?
No, I'm looking up what mutual fund is. Okay. I'm looking up what is a mutual fund. What's a mutual fund? Diversify your portfolio. A mutual fund. Mutual funds are investments that combine your money with that of other investors to purchase stocks and other securities.
Okay,
Parentheses, portfolio, end parentheses. Money is overseen by a professional financial manager. That's you in the game, in your garage, but you also just have all of that money in the garage.
Yeah, like the people physically bring you the money.
Yes.
That you invest in the funds.
Okay. What the thanks is the money basically represents like your HP, your hit points or whatever. And as people break into your garage and get past your defenses, they'll grab the money and leave. And you get the thanks by actually having more money than the people gave you.
So you're so the investment, they get their returns.
So like for if people take $10 from your pile of billions, the billionaire who gave you his money, who is getting $10 less, will not thank you. Yeah.
And that's bad. That lowers your score.
That lowers your score, folks. That lowers your mutual fund score.
Okay, great.
You get a worse rating on nerdwallet.com.
I came up with an idea for the name, but it doesn't really fit, but I wanted to say it Garage Brand. Like Garage Band, but it's Garage Brand.
Oh my God.
But he's not
that's
really...
a different game, though.
Yeah,
that's a really good name for a different game.
Okay, so let's keep that in the back pocket.
Okay, yeah. Write that down somewhere.
Shed shares.
Okay, yeah.
Shed stocks.
All right.
Stocking the garage. I can throw whatever I want around.
You can. I thought Shed Shares was good.
Okay, then let's keep Shed Shares.
Okay. Stocking the Garage is another good game for another good name for another game that specifically involves groceries.
I was thinking stocks, like it was like a play on stocks. But okay, Shed Shares.
Shed Shares, the mutual fund tower defense game.
Perfect.
Is ultimately what it is. Like you build the traps and contraptions that stop people from breaking into your house. And that's with 1 minute and 32 seconds left on the clock.
Nice.
Are we ready for the third and final round?
Yes.
I just realized we call it the rapid fire round, but that consists of 3 rounds.
Don't break the illusion.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1, start.
Key. Detector, dry. You got to search for keys in the ocean.
I was thinking the swamps.
Okay, swamps are good too. Body of water.
Yeah. Body of water.
Bog bodies.
Bog bodies. Okay. Gruesome, gross, nasty, but we can work with it.
We don't have to. You just said swamp, and that's what I thought of.
So you have a metal detector. You're looking for keys. It's a wet environment. Swamp.
Alligators try to eat your metal detector.
Alligators try to eat you. Do we want to incorporate wet as a mechanic of any sort, or is that more of a theme?
I think it's
more of an inspirational
theme. I mean, I think it's a theme, and then it also incorporates as a mechanic, as it's like using a metal. I can imagine. I've never used a metal detector, but that it's not super effective over the water. Like that's one reason why sonar exists. Because we can't scan for things underwater because it's dense. Huh.
I guess I never really thought well, water is not more dense than
air.
Sand.
I don't know, but when you think about it, like, wouldn't we just use metal detectors to find like shipwrecks and stuff? But we don't. So I'm assuming it doesn't work.
I'm now very wary of this idea because I don't know how metal detectors work. How do metal do
Well, I think that means it's harder to find the keys, which is part of like the water creates kind of the challenge of the game.
Salt water hurts metal detectors, but metal detectors will work in water. But I think
it probably has to be shallow, right? Like shallow-ish. Yeah.
Well, this says up to 100 feet deep for this specific
Okay.
waterproof metal detector. But I think metal detectors themselves don't have like a super far range, so that's why you couldn't like detect something on the ocean floor. And you keep it relatively close to the ground. I don't think you can pick up a gold coin 6 feet under, but no, you're right. They do have sonar for that for deeper things. But okay, so you're wading through a swamp.
Yeah. That'll be plenty, and then you've got your detector. But I mean, what's the game part then? If it's easy to just find the keys, how much time do we have left?
We have 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which is plenty of time. But all right,
it's
so
a
you
bog
find
witch.
The keys.
The bog witch has special secret things that the keys unlock. Treasure chest. That's what I was trying to think of.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're working for her, and you have to go out with your metal detector, but there's going to be like maybe it's like a maze type game, so like kind of like your game. We're like, oh no, there's a thing I have to fight, and like, oh, there's a secret passageway I can go to find the keys. And do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay. So it's an exploration game. Is what I'm picking up from what you're putting down.
I guess whatever that means.
Well, I mean,
that what your game
like
is?
a game that explores that focuses on like exploration and navigating the environment.
Yeah. And you sometimes have to like do little battles or
and
do little puzzles.
The battles are like the punishment for not properly exploring.
Well, I wouldn't think of it that way. They're just part of exploring.
Okay. Yes.
Like it's part of the fun.
I don't. Punishment doesn't necessarily mean a negative thing.
I think it does.
Not
consequence.
Not in my book of game design.
So consequence means a negative thing. Punishment. No, consequence is neutral. That just means something happened because. But punishment is
the
negative.
Consequence of not exploring is that you have to do battles.
No, that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking you're moving through the world, and it's like you like in Pokemon when you find a trainer and you're like, oh no, now I have to battle my Pokemon. Like you would hit obstacles.
Okay.
So it's not like you did anything wrong or bad. You like hit an obstacle because you're exploring. Like it's a consequence of exploring. It's not like I didn't explore. I don't know what you're saying. How much time do we have left? We don't have time to do this.
We have 37 seconds left.
All right, what's it called?
Bog witch looking for the keys. Key bog.
Okay, the word was actually dry, not wet, so I don't know why we both went to ocean.
Oh.
Key bog.
Oh.
You have to dry off the keys. There we go. Nailed it.
All right. You dry off the keys
bog.
with 15 seconds left on the clock. Key bog. I
like how it said dry and we both were like wet environments. 100%.
All right, wait. No, we're gonna go into a second question segment though, because I feel like I need to justify this thought process. All right, so if the game wants you to explore, it gives you the reward for exploring. The reward for exploring is bypassing obstacles, right? Like in my game, if there's a goblin in the middle of the road, there's almost always, or if there always is, a secret route that if you explore, you can bypass the goblin. Therefore, the goblin is a punishment / consequence of not exploring.
I guess I just see that as just two different play styles. Like some people, including yourself, are going to see something to fight and fight it.
Right, but in a game design sense, it encourages one play style.
I don't think it does.
Discourages the other.
What if people like battling? Then they're encouraged to battle.
My game offers no encouragement to battle. Game design
unless it's fun. What if it's fun for people? What if it's interesting to them?
Then there are plenty of games that do that. I don't know. It's like,
I guess to me it's like I could explore your game, but I don't necessarily see every path I could take. So I might end up battling something. I don't see that as like a punishment for not, or like even a consequence of like quote unquote exploring wrong or not exploring enough. It just means that like that's the path I chose. Like it's completely neutral to me.
Okay. I do feel like some semantic, we're getting caught on semantics a little bit. I'm talking in a game design sense.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is when I'm playing and playtesting your game, I don't feel rewarded for going one way versus the other.
The reward is not having to fight the goblin.
I don't see
the goblin
that really.
Is the fighting the goblin is the punishment because it consumes resources, and resources are scarce. Therefore, it's bad to fight the goblin. is the game design language of
I don't think
my game.
Yeah, the listeners don't even know what your game is.
No, I
you've
know.
never talked about it.
We have talked about it several times.
We've
but
mentioned it offhand. We have not talked about
maybe
it in detail.
we should include a link, and I can get playtest feedback.
That would be cool.
From our vast bank of listeners.
That would be very cool. But
yeah,
until then,
if they'll email us, that was my transition into the final plugs.
We have one more round to do.
No, we did 3.
We did 3?
Yeah.
What was the first? What were they? I thought we did 2. We did Keybog. We did the shed.
Yeah, Keybog, shed game.
Oh, and Worldwide Fly.
Worldwide Fly.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Well done. Sorry I ruined it. It was a good segue. I was like ready with the words. I was like, here we go, final round.
We can do a 4th round.
You just threw me for a loop by having another question segment. My brain just broke.
I thought it was riveting content.
I think it's
for the
good
listeners.
content. I don't.
For the game designers out there.
I think it's good content. It threw my brain off.
Sorry.
Anyway, yes, please send us an email at makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com with any ideas. Or if you're interested in playing Isaac's game, that would be very cool. Yes, no? Yes. Okay. And then you just look very suspicious.
Oh, I'm in my own world right now. I'm letting you do the plugs. Don't pay attention to me at all. Because it's not got any relevance to what's happening here.
Okay. Okay. So then we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Make That Game Pod. And then we have twitch.tv/MakeThatGame, youtube.com/@MakeThatGame. And if you heard a game idea you liked so much today, we encourage you to get out there and
make that game.